Okay, so today we are going to have kind of a short section to go over, uh, which I'm sure some of you are very happy to know. However, it just so happens that the part that we're going over is, there's not that much to it. However, it does seem to give some people trouble. So what we're going to be going over today is the metric system and how it works. So why are you learning the metric system? Well, it's actually very, very useful, especially if you're taking anything that has to do with science, which I know all of you have to take science classes, so you should probably pay attention to this. Why do we use metric system in science? Well, it's a much more standard system, and it's actually much easier to use than what we have, which is the imperial system. With imperial system, you have to convert from, let's say, feet to yards, and then yards to miles, and each one of those has its own conversion. However, in the metric system, no matter what you're measuring, they all have the same conversion. It's all very standard. So let me show you what I'm talking about. In the metric system, we have a few different types of measurements. We have, for distance, we have meters. And please excuse my handwriting. This tablet isn't exactly something I'm used to with handwriting. We have, let's see, what else? We have liters. Okay. Let's see. For mass, we have grams. Okay. These are all our basic, just very, very basic measurements. Okay. So this is what everything else is based off of. So we have meters, liters, grams, there's some others. But everything else is based off of going from these. So you've probably heard of things like centimeters and kilometers, or, things like that. Well, where do they fit in here? They fit into this little chart that I like to use. If you can remember this, King Henry died by drinking. Oops, let's try that one again. Drinking. Pretend that's a D. Chocolate milk. Okay. So, this right here stands for kilo. The H here stands for hecto. The capital D here stands for deca. The B is something that I call base. It's all these measurements right here, the basic measurements. So base is what I'm going to write there. Okay, then we have the lowercase d here, and make sure that it's lowercase past that point. This lowercase d stands for deci. The C here stands for centi. And then the lowercase m here stands for milli. Okay. So, what am I talking about here? This seems more complicated so far. Well, it actually isn't. Let's say that I have kilometers and I want to go to my basic, which is meters. So, kilometers. I want to go down to my basic, which is meters. Okay, well, each of these steps stands for a certain amount of what we call a power of 10. Kilometers means 1,000. Hecto, or hectometer, would be 100. Decameter, would be 10. And then our base is our basic number, so that's just times 1. Okay? So if we want to go from kilometers to meters, we say that is 1,000 meters. Pretty simple. Same thing if we were going from hecto to meter, it would be 100 meters. Decameter would be 10 meters. Base, which is our base meter, is 1 meter. So 1,000 meters, 100 meters, 10 meters, 1 meter. And that's it. So if we have 1 kilometer, it's 1,000 meters because kilo stands for 1,000. Okay, what if we wanted to go from millimeters? Well, these down here actually stand for things below 1. Deci is times 0.1. It's 1/10 of a meter. Centi stands for 0.01. It's 1/100th of a meter. And then milli is 0.001, which is 1,000th of a meter. Okay. So, how many millimeters in a meter? Well, there's 1,000. And if we wanted to go from meters to millimeters, we would say that there are 1,000 millimeters in a meter. What if we want to go the other way? Well, if we have a millimeter and we want to go to meters, it's 1/1,000th, just like we have here. So from millimeter to meter, it's 1/1,000th. From centimeter to meter, it's 1/100th, just like it says here, 0.01. To go from decimeters to meters, it's 1/10 of a meter. Okay? So again, everything is based off of this measurement right here, and it doesn't have to be meters. It can be liters, it can be grams, whatever measurement we're talking about. Of course, meters is length, liters is volume, and grams is mass. So whatever type of measurement we're talking about, we can plug in here. So this could be the same for liters. How many liters are there in a kiloliter? Or would there be 1,000? Okay, 1,000 meters in a kiloliter. I think I said that right. How many how many liters are there in a milliliter? Well, there's 1,000. How many milliliters in a liter? Well, there's 1/1,000th. Okay. So, that is the basic conversion. So let's talk about if we want to jump from, like other things, like deci to deca. Okay. Well, if we want to jump from deci to deca, we're not necessarily talking about the base. What we do is we count up the number of times that we're jumping through these steps. So to get from deci to deca, we jump 1, 2 steps. So this is 1 power of 10. To go from here to here, we multiply by 10. To go from here to here, we multiply by another 10. Okay? Again, these are powers of 10. So to go from deci to deca, this is something small, and we're talking about something large. How many of these small things do we have in something large? We're going to take whatever we have and divide it by this many powers of 10. So let's see, that'd be 10. 10 times 10 is 100. So we're going to take this and divide it by 100. Okay. So, let's see. 1 deci, let's say meter, since it's easier for me to say apparently. 1 decimeter divided by 100 would be 0.01 decameters. Okay, so if I want to go from here to here, I'm going from something small to something large, I need to divide. Keep that in mind. To go from something small to something large, divide by this. Okay. I'm just going to back this up now. What if I want to go from something large to something small? Well, let's go from hecto to deci. So it's 1, 2, 3 steps to go from hecto to deci. Alright, so that's times 10 there, times 10 there, and times 10, times 10 here. So to go from here, we've gone 3 steps, so that's 3 powers of 10. Well, 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000. So if I have 1 hectometer, and I want to see how many decimeters that is, I'm now going to multiply. To go from a large thing to a small thing, we multiply. So what is 1 hectometer times 1,000? Well, that'd be 1,000 decimeters. Okay. So, this is the basic idea. If we want to go from one place to another, we just see how many steps we take from one to the other. So from hecto to deci, we took 3 steps. It's this many tens, so 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000, and there we go. And we take whatever this was and multiply it by that, since we're going from something large to something small. Again, if we wanted to go from something small to something large, so like milli to all the way up to hecto, let's say. So millimeter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's say we have 1 millimeter. And we jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 powers of 10 there. So I say, okay, what is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10? So 5 powers of 10. Well, that would be 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000, times another 10 is 10,000, times another 10 is 100,000. So we would take our 1 millimeter and divide it, since we're going from something small to something large, by 100,000. So 1 divided by 100,000 is really small. It would be 0.123. Whoops. That ain't right. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Really small. All right. But there's actually an easier way to do this. This is just what we're actually doing. when we're doing what I'm going to give you, which is the shortcut method here. So we are either dividing by or multiplying by 10 each time we take a step. Well, like we've said before, when we multiply or divide by 10, all we're really doing is moving a decimal. So let me back this up here. Okay. So let's say that I want to go from, I don't know, kilometers to decimeters. Okay, so 1 kilometer to decimeters. Kilometer to decimeters. What we need to do is we need to say, all right, how many times am I jumping? That's 1, 2, 3, 4 times right there. Okay. Well, all we're going to say is we're going to move that decimal 4 times. So right now it's 1.0. Come on. Make it proper decimal point, please. Thank you. It's 1.0. We're going to move that thing 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So add in those zeros. And we get that a kilometer is 10,000. Hey, that's pretty simple. We just say, all right, we jumped 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and so we move that decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Now remember, if you're going from something big to something small, it's going to go this direction. That decimal is going to move to the right to make a larger number. Okay, what if I want to go from something small to something large? So let's say centimeters to meters. Okay, well, back this up again. So centimeters to meters. Well, we say we have 1 centimeter right now. And I want to go up this direction. So that's, let's see, 1, 2 steps. So again, I just move my decimal place 1, 2 times. So fill that in and we have 0.01. Again, that's it. You don't really have to think about the multiply and divide thing. I was just showing you to show you what we're actually doing. For each step that you take, going from one of these things to the other one, you just move the decimal that many times. That is it. So as opposed to something like imperial system where, you know, how many inches are there in a foot? 12. Okay, how many feet are there in a yard? Well, I don't really remember because I haven't used imperial in a long time. Let's say yards in a mile. That one's like 1,000 something. I don't remember. For this one, it's just how many times do you move from one step to the other? That's it. It's completely simplified. Okay, so let's start using some actual numbers here instead of just ones. Alright. So, let's say I want to go from deca to centi. Let's say grams, decagrams to centigrams. Okay, and I have, let's say 7.68 decagrams, and I want to go to centigrams. Okay, well, I say, how many steps is that? 1, 2, 3 steps. I'm going from something large to something small, so it's going to move this direction. It's going to move to the right. So 1, 2, 3 steps. And I get that it is 7,680. Bam! That's it. 7.68 decagrams is 7,680 centigrams. That's it. If I want to go the opposite direction, let's choose to go from let's go from milli to kilo all the way. Millimeters to kilometers. So let's say that I have something large. 10,070. 10,753 millimeters, and I want to go to kilometers. Well, that's 1, 2, 3. There's the R missing there. Oops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. So again, I'm going from something small to something large, so I'm going to move my decimal place this direction to the left. So that's, right now it's here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so that's 0.001073. Just move that decimal place that many times. And that's it. That is all you have to know about converting between these things. It's really that simple. As long as you can remember this part, at least, and I'd memorize this if you can, this kilo, hecto, deca, base, deci, centi, milli. Again, the way that I've always remembered it is King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. It's something that one of my teachers in elementary school used, and hey, it worked apparently. This right here, you don't have to memorize. You don't have to memorize that. It's not all that useful. All you got to remember is that every time you take a step, that's how many times you are going to move your decimal place. And if you're going from something small to something large, you're moving your decimal place to the left. If you're going from something large to something small, you move your decimal place to the right. That's it. I really can't think of anything else that you'd have to know here. Really, as long as you remember this little thing right here, you're probably golden. So, let's see. You need a password to get into your quiz. So that password is going to be, and this is all lowercase, kilo. Lowercase kilo. Okay. So, get into your quiz while this is nice and fresh in your mind, and good luck with it, I suppose. And I will see you next week when I'm back in class to not have such bad handwriting. I will see you then. Goodbye.